All right, so again, just a review of these notes. I'll mention a flexion, movement that decreases the angle of the joint. Extension, an angle is increased in the joint. Dorsiflexion is an up movement of the foot. Plantar flexion is a down movement of the foot. I'll show you diagrams in a second. Abduction, moving away from the midline. Think about someone that's being abducted, taken away. Adduction is movement towards the midline of the body. Circumduction, a cone in space, so when you do like arm circles, like to warm up and phys ed and stuff like that. Okay? So here we go. Here are some diagrams to go along with this. Oh, I guess one more thing. A gliding movement is a back and forth. Now, you can describe one of those movements as an abduction, one as an adduction. But this gliding back and forth, this doesn't come up very much, but that's just the first slide. Gliding back and forth. When you wave. Is it frozen? Frozen for you. Okay. Someone turn these front two lights off for me. Guys, the back there, can you turn the very first light switch off, please? Thank you. Yep. Hi.
So this is abduction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fine. But does this is abduction?
That's,
Like
yeah.
From here?
Yeah, that's right. That's adduction. Yeah,
that's
moving towards midline, sure. Okay, so just a reminder, this one's a bit, actually, this one I'll highlight because this one's a bit weird, I guess, maybe counterintuitive. A flexion, if you move your arm up like this, okay, now is that an extension or a flexion? That's a tough one, I would say. The leg movement, this is a flexion, this angle decreases for sure. I think you could see the angle. Again, this one's kind of a tough one. If you extend your arms backwards, okay, think about the maybe the neck as well as part of that angle. So your neck and your arm, that angle is getting smaller. The neck and your arm going backwards is an extension. If your foot comes forward, that's an extension. So this is a bit of a tough one to imagine. But if you imagine sideways, your neck being straight up and down, if you move your arm like this, you're decreasing the angle between your neck here and your arm. So that's the only one I thought was kind of strange, but let's look at some of the other ones. Okay, so if you bend your body forward, okay, that's a flexion at your torso, your midline there. The hyperextension would be going backwards, right? For your head and neck, if you kind of bow your head, put your chin down, that's a flexion. If you put your head back, that's an extension. And then, of course, if you go over, a hyperextension. So hyperextension even in this back. If you arc back the opposite way, or if you take your neck way back and look way up, that's a hyperextension. Okay, sound good? Easy?
Okay, so what wasn't
Question?
the one?
Sorry, what, yeah?
The slide, what wasn't the one on the side hyperextension?
So this movement here would be an extension. I think anything going past this vertical line here should be a hyperextension. I think this one is just showing you the difference between flexion and extension. But yeah, coming down to a straight line would probably be extension. This would technically be a hyperextension. You could call that a hyperextension, I think. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, next slide. Here we go with the feet. Dorsiflexion, so if you put your big toe up towards your kneecap, that's a dorsiflexion. If you put your foot down, point your toe like you're diving into the water, that's a plantar flexion. All right? And this slide here, adduction. Okay, if you move your arm towards up like this, that's an adduction, and moving your hand and your arm towards your body is an adduction. Abduction, adduction. And making your arm circles, as I mentioned, that's the circumduction. Got it? All right, rotation. So the turning of a bone around its own long axis. If you turn your head sideways, that's a rotation. The up and down axis. You're not moving forward or back, you're just rotating side to side. If you stand with your feet planted and you move like this, okay, that's also a rotation. Lateral rotation, the difference technically between rotation in and out, let's say. So lateral rotation, you'd be rotating out, and then if you're rotating back in towards the midline would be a medial rotation. Yeah. disregard this. I'm not sure about this one. The atlas, I'm not sure if that was supposed to be in there, to tell you the truth. So just diagrams to focus. Michael. Michael.
So like, you know how you can kind of like rotate your shoulder?
Yep, that's coming up.
Well, which one would be medial and which one would be lateral if you were rotating your shoulder?
There's different names for that one. It's coming up.
Oh.
Yeah. Special movements. Thank you.
Oh,
Special movements. Supination and pronation. Do you remember supine and prone and supine? Remember those? When you're laying on your face and you're laying on your back. Which one was which? Do you remember?
Prone face down.
Yeah.
Prone face down, supine face up. Yep. Inversion, eversion, protraction, retraction, elevation, depression. So and opposition. I'm going to show you diagrams for each of those as well. So as we go through, if you want to jot down in your notes some of these special ones, I'm giving you time to do that right now. So this one here, when you have your thumb up and your arm is out, so like this, your thumb is up and your arm is out, technically your radius and your ulnar, which are the two bones in your forearm, those are they're parallel, okay? So this is called supination, if you have your arm like this. If you rotate your wrist down, so again, that's a rotation, that's kind of what you're asking about, like, right? So this would be pronate, where the bones kind of get twisted from the front view, okay? They don't actually get twisted, but they kind of do. If you could just rotate your wrist without rotating your whole arm, then that's a pronation, okay? So the act of straightening out like this would be a supination, going to the supine position, up, thumb up. Prone or pronation would be moving your thumb down to the face down or thumb down position. All right, what's next? Okay, so your feet. You're looking at your feet down there. If you move your ankle so your big toe comes in towards your midline like that, that's an inversion, going in towards the midline, and eversion is going out. And I think we talked about these words in previous units, but inversion, eversion, got it? All right. Special movements of the jaw. So again, with your jaw, how does that work with your jaw? So protraction, protracted if your chin and your lower jaw is forward, that's a protracted. Okay, a protraction of the mandible. The mandible is your jaw. And a retraction of the mandible, retraction of your jaw is going back in. Okay. My wife is in the dental field, and I think she calls it is it pronathic? Pronathic and retronathic. So pro is going forward, retro is back. Like retro outfit or retro TV or retro whatever, like that's way back, right? Back, so it's back. Okay. Got it? All right. Also, with the jaw, elevation is up with your jaw, mouth closed, basically. And then if your jaw hits the floor, right? Jaw drop, that's a depression of the mandible. Elevation and depression. Elevate, depression. Think about the angles, right? Angles of elevation, up. Angles of depression, down. In math, right? And I think this is maybe the last one. Opposition. So when your finger and your forefinger and your thumb bend in opposite directions to touch each other like this, make an A-OK sign. That is opposition. We have opposable thumbs. Okay, so a lot of the animal kingdom, everything bends the same way. Everything bends down. We have a thumb that bends opposite way, so it allows us to grab things and to manipulate things with our hands. Okay. Thank the Lord for that. So this is an opposable thumb. It opposes all the rest of your digits. Very handy. Yeah. opposable. To choke. Yeah, we're not going to choke. No, we're not going to choke. Okay, so that's that. Again, these are really important ones, and the special movements that we just covered also are important. Any questions that you have for me at this point?
No.
Are you have a question, or are you just practicing your opposability there? Okay, good. You can just up your leg.
Mr. Maxwell,
Yes.
if we can do this, right?
Yeah. Shrug your shoulders.
So how this is rotation, right?
Well, no, I mean, it depends. If you're doing this, then you're like, this is the pivot point. If you're doing this, I mean, this would be an elevation and depression.
But
Maybe.
the track is going in a circle.
Yeah. So it would be a okay. So it would be the circumduction of your shoulder joint then.
But that's not a cone.
Sorry.
That's not a cone. Like if I do something like
Well, you'd be pivoting in here. Yeah, you'd be pivoting there. Again, there's 1,000 different movements that would be tricky to outline. We're just focusing on these ones for now. Questions? Yeah. Hey guys, quiet down, please. Hey, psst. I'm trying to hear a question. Shh. Question in the back.